Hello, leaders, and welcome to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. Well, I have a couple more leadership lessons that are inspired by GEICO commercials. And today, I want to talk about the collect call. Now, this commercial is hilarious and brings back some old memories from my teenager years when we used to have pay phones all over the place and when collect calls were fairly common. Now, if you're not familiar with the collect call, that's when you call a number and you ask the receiver to pay for the call. You leave your first name and last name, and they can either say yes, they accept, or no, they don't. And if they don't, they just hang up. So in this commercial, there's a new dad, and he tries to save money by making a collect call. And he says his name is Bob, we oughta baby eats a boy. And when his dad answers the phone, the operator says, collect call from Bob, we oughta baby eats a boy. And the dad simply says, sorry, wrong number, and hangs up. And then when the dad hangs up, his wife says, who was that? And the dad tells the wife, oh, it was Bob. They had a baby, and it's a boy. Now, I guess this is funny to me because I shamelessly did this a few times when I was a teenager to save money on long distance calls. And it was usually just if I was on a long drive, I would call home and tell my mom or dad that, I'd do a collect call and tell them that I made it there or something like that. But I would call and we would arrange this ahead of time a lot of times. And, back then, long distance phone calls were expensive. So it was long before cell phones, and everywhere you went, you had to make a long distance call, and it cost a lot of money. So, like I said, I shamelessly did this, and I'm not proud of it looking back, but because it was cheating, it was stealing. The leadership lesson that instantly came to mind for me here was the importance of a leader practicing integrity at all times. You see, this may not seem like a big deal, but anytime a leader stretches a policy in the least little bit, and one of his or her team members sees them do it, that leader has just established a brand new standard of acceptance. They just basically established a new policy. You see, every time the team member that saw the leader do that is put into a similar situation, they will think back to what the leader did and think it's all right to stretch the boundary just a little bit. It's all right to stretch that policy just a little bit because the leader does it. So today's challenge is for you to think about all the little things that you may do that stretch the acceptable limits just a tad bit. Or think of any policy or standard that you allow others to exceed, even if it's barely over the acceptable limit line. This could be anything from showing up a little late from time to time or allowing others to arrive late without correcting them. It could be taking an extra 15 minutes or so during lunch break, or allowing team members to do this. Or it could just be any small infraction that you do or allow others to do without any type of correction. You see, policies are in place for a reason. And as leaders, it's up to us to follow them and ensure our people follow them. If the policies are permitted to be stretched a little bit, well, it should be written and understood by everyone. But regardless, leaders should be careful not to abuse their power, and they should never jeopardize their integrity. A long time ago, I heard a great definition of integrity, and it said that integrity is doing what is right even when nobody is looking. Is that how you would describe your leadership? That's just something to ponder today, and I'm not pointing fingers because I know this is just as much for me as it is for everybody else out there. But just think about that. Check your integrity today. Hey, that's it for today. As always, thank you for listening. And until tomorrow, run to your challenges.